Hi there, this is Chris from Money Hub, and this video looks at using the Air New Zealand points website to see how many status points you'll get for partner flights, as well as using the core Air New Zealand website for working out the status points from Air New Zealand operated flights. So let's just go straight in and you can see how this works. Let's go Auckland to Queenstown, and this video was recorded in April 2026, but we're going to just choose a date and go with it and see how many status points are earned. So let's go straight into it. Let's choose a fare, and we can see that this here is going to earn 10 status points for a flexi refund. If we choose a seat fare, that's going to earn 4 status points. You can also see how many air points it earns here. There's 1, and there's 4, but the focus on this video is looking at status points. Now, of course, if we choose another route, and let's do that, let's go all the way from Auckland to Los Angeles, and we'll just put out the date a bit further. So yeah, the technical difficulties of the Air New Zealand website does mean it jumps a bit. That's always seems to be the case, but let's not worry about that. So I'm just going to go back to Los Angeles again, and we'll just go 25th of November, and let's have a look at the status points here. Now, this, of course, these are one-way flights. It's just for relevance in terms of working out. So if we click on economy, then we can see that there's 50 status points. If we click on the fare for premium economy, we can see 169 status points. And then we can see for business premier, 288 status points. So those will always change based on the fare. And also if the cheaper fares have been sold out, then it's going to usually mean more status points. Now, what we're going to do is you can also see that on different ways to get there, there will be different status points given. So, for example, let's go economy on the direct route. That's going to be 50. But if you go via Honolulu and take the second leg with United, then because you're doing 2 flights, that's going to be 70. And then if you're doing it via also Honolulu, but the second partner is Alaskan, which is not a Star Alliance airline, then it's going to be 40. So these are all kind of things to be aware of. Of course, for 2 business class flights, here it's going to be 317. But if we take the direct flight, as we saw before, you can see it's going to be a 288 status point. So these are all things to be aware of. Let's just go through and do a London flight, and I can explain how that also works with regards to status points. And so I'm keeping it November, which is largely off season, so there'll be more available things we can have a look at. And let's just get this loaded up. Right. So here you can see that Singapore Airlines offers, these are Air New Zealand ticketed, but they're operated by Singapore Airlines, so they're Air New Zealand flight numbers. You can see here it's 24 status points, but if we select via Singapore with Air New Zealand, because the first flight is Air New Zealand, it's the same price. You can see the status points is higher at 48 because of the fact that they are operating their own flight there, so they give more air points for that. The same is going to be for the business premier. We have a look at that. That's 320 one way, but if you looked at Singapore Airlines not operated by Air New Zealand, then it's going to be 250. So these are all different things. You can see here that the British Airways is operating. You wouldn't earn status points on the next flight, so that would be on the British Airways flight, so you'd only get 50 status points for an economy flight there via San Francisco. But if you booked it via United, then because that's a Star Alliance airline, then you'd get 85. So what you see here is a range of options, but they all do quite conditional in terms of status points on the airlines. So the rule of thumb is if it's in Star Alliance, then you'll get some air points and some status points, and if it isn't, then the leg, well, then you won't. Air Canada, for example, is in Star Alliance, so if we click on that, then we can see that you'll get 42. It all depends on how the airline's awarded and how Air New Zealand recognises it. And it's certainly something which catches a few people out because they think, oh, I flew on Air New Zealand and like I'm Star Alliance Gold, or I've got Koru, and what can I, why doesn't this work on British Airways? This is a ticket from Air New Zealand, and the answer is because of the limitations. Now, they make this clear with regards to this option includes travel on another airline where the aircraft experience may differ from Air New Zealand. That is true, but just be aware of that if you are booking these flights, that some just don't give status points. Now, let's go through and talk about status points being offered by a Star Alliance Airlines. So if we go into this tool called Air New Zealand Points, what we'll do is we'll look at the partner airlines, and I'm going to do it with two examples. One of them is going to be Brussels Airlines, which is a member of Star Alliance, of course, and part of Lufthansa Group, and the other one is Turkish Airlines. So let's go with Turkish Airlines first. Now, it's very popular for New Zealanders to be traveling around Europe and often going on a flight, perhaps from London to Istanbul. And if we calculate there, then we can see that there's going to be status points awarded based on the flight flown and the fare class. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Turkish Airlines website, and you can see here I've put London and I've put Istanbul, and I've chosen the 18th of November. This is going to be a price in pounds. And what we can see here is that if I choose a flight from London, Heathrow, we've got some options here. So these all say V class. Let me just zoom this in a bit so that's clear. So we've got V class, V class, V class, and V class. So a whole bunch of different V classes, all with different benefits with regards to luggage and seat selection and that. Now, how do we know, based on what Air New Zealand has, whether or not we're going to be credited anything for V class? So what you have to do is click on the Turkish Airlines page and then look at that and see, right, let's drag this down and let's see where V class ends up. So at the moment, what I see here is that it's put in as a discount economy. Now, you don't earn it if it's a flight number with TK 7,000 to 7799. I think that's more domestic stuff. But you would see here that that's discount economy. So if we go back to the Turkish Airlines, we could say that if you want a hand luggage only fare, that's going to cost £153. It's booked in V class. What does that earn you from the Airpoints tool? Then it's going to earn you 25 status points. So that's useful to know if you then were to be somewhat more adventurous and say you're going all the way from London to say Dubai or something like that. Actually, that's Delhi is probably more realistic or more sort of relevant. Then you can see here that if we take this Monday flight, then we can see that if we click on that, then we can see these are booked in E class and they're booked in H class. Now, what does that give us? Let's go back to the Turkish Airlines. So E and H. So E is there. And can we see H? This is where, yes, so we can. So full economy is H and discount economy is E. And then just to make things fun, we go London Heathrow to Delhi. Right, because of course you have to do it by segment. So you would have to do Istanbul, which we've already done. You'd see that. So the full economy would give you 40 status points, and the discount economy would give you 25. And then if we do Delhi to Istanbul, or Istanbul to Delhi, it's the same. Then we can see it's 30 status points and 45. So that's a convoluted way to find out what's going on, but that is how it works. And then Air New Zealand will credit you for those flights. Now, if we go to another option, just to keep things fun, and a little bit convoluted, but I'll show you how it works. So if I just take, now these are very strange itineraries, but it's good just to be aware of them, perhaps. So this is something I was looking at earlier, and it's purely for example. This is a flight from London to Malabo, and Malabo to London. This is Equatorial Guinea. It's not on most people's radar, but it just shows you the booking system. So if I click on the economy for Brussels Airlines, then what I can see here is I can see compare fare types and booking classes. This is the same thing if you use Lufthansa, or if you use Swiss or any of their airline groups. So what we can see here is we can see the booking class. That's going to be L. So if I go into the Air New Zealand Airpoints and I choose Brussels Airlines, and I go Brussels to Malabo. Okay, that's not coming up. That's fine. I'll just do it to London. You can see here that I have to click on the Brussels Airlines page. And where does L fare class map? And what we can see here is it maps to discount economy. So that flight would be from London, that would earn a 15. If we do another route, and I just will go back to this once more, and I will go, if I just modify this, and I choose business class, and I modify that. Let's have a look at the compare fare and booking class. So this is all booking into P class. Let's see where that lands. So if we go back to Brussels, so P class, that's not mentioned. And so this is quite important. It says booking classes that are not mentioned are not eligible for accrual. So a business class for Brussels Airlines, and it's the same for Lufthansa, recognizes it as those. But you're not going to earn anything should you book these P class flights. So it's a bit of a minefield there. You may think, oh, I'm spending all this money flying Lufthansa business or Brussels Airlines or Swiss business or Austrian, but that's not the case at all. Now, one more example is I'll do United. A lot of people fly that. Let's go Auckland to San Francisco, and I'm going to calculate that there, and we can see that there's a range of different status points. So what I'm going to do is just walk us through the United booking system, and we can see how that works for getting flights priced. So mostly reliable. Let me just go back to it. Right. So let's go here, and I'll just choose one way, and I'll go Auckland to San Francisco. And I'll just choose the timings of, it's only a seasonal schedule. Sorry, I've gone far too far. Getting my dates confused. We'll just do Sunday the 28th of February, and we're doing one way. Let's just see how this works. So we can see here from United that they offer a range of status points. And I'm going to click onto their fare map. So we'll see different fare classes. It's a little bit, there's quite a few here. Which ones are ineligible? They've specified that. Which ones are discount economy, a full economy, and so on. So let's go to the United site, and we can see this should be pricing in New Zealand dollars. Yes, it is. That's helpful. So we can see that if we click on the details, this is operated by United. We can see that would count as economy Q for United Economy, and A for premium economy, and J for business. So let's just start with Q, and we can see here that Q would be classed as a discount economy. So that would earn 40 status points. But if we go and see what the A is for United Premium Plus, so the premium, so that's going to be an A class. That is going to state here, it's got an asterisk, it's going to earn status points at the full economy rate. It says it's going to earn Airpoints dollars. I believe that's also going to be status points as well. So if we look at the full economy rate, that's 55, because you can see here they don't specify premium economy, so they just put it as full economy. And then if you went all the way and went to, I mean, this is a ridiculous fare, which I don't think is valid, but for some reason they're pricing it this way, $27,000. I think that's an error, I would hope. J is what they charge. Sorry, that's the fare class, and that would be business class there. And you can see that for $27,000, you would get 130 status points. So that's how it works. You can go through any airline that is in the Star Alliance, and you can go to your heart's content with regards to that. Sometimes the tool gets stuck, as we can see, so it's good just to refresh and just go to partner airlines, and you can see that, like, for any of the routes. If you're flying Air China, they've now got flights from Auckland to Beijing and also Shanghai. Well, they've certainly scheduled them, and you can see different routes there. And then, of course, if you're flying from London to Beijing, then you can add up, your status points. So that's how things work, making sure that if you went to the Air China page, then you'll be able to see the different fare classes which they use. So it's kind of a bit, well, it's certainly something to get your head around, but for people trying to renew status points, in New Zealand, gold or platinum or black or silver, and flying not just Air New Zealand but other airlines, this tool is really quite essential to use. I use it personally at Turkish Airlines, primarily because I go or we travel a bit with Turkish Airlines around, so recently around Central Asia when we've been up in Europe, and also for Brussels Airlines and Lufthansa as well, just with some African flights and also within Europe. So you can see everyone's listed. There's TAP Portugal, Swiss, South African, of course, Singapore Airlines, that's a popular one, and everything else that kind of flies close to New Zealand but not quite. Asiana, of course, flies to Australia. The same with Air India. And Air Canada flying as well. And then Aegean is the Greek airline. So thanks very much for watching. I realize it's quite a big it's quite a big listen. If you have any questions about earning status points, then do leave them in the comments below. That helps us improve our guidance, and everything else is on the two guides from Air New Zealand Koru, as well as how to maximize status points. Thanks very much.